Welcome back to Sword Wolf Forge, everybody. In my last episode, I was preparing to take my American Bladesmith Society Journeyman performance test. So a lot of people were wondering, how did I do? Well, stick around and I'll tell you how it went. So last weekend, my wife and I departed for Bristol, Virginia for my Journeyman performance test. There we met up with our friends Ann and Joe Stater and their son Ridley. My wife works with Ann, and Joe happens to be the person that does all my media, puts these videos together, handles my social media for Sword Wolf Forge. So it was real awesome to actually meet him in person. And Ridley made me this nice little keychain with my name on it for good luck. So why do we go to Bristol, Virginia? Well, that's the home of my friend Burt Foster. If you don't know who Burt Foster is, he's a master bladesmith. Actually was on the board for the American Bladesmith Society at some time. And he's been on Forged in Fire quite a few times. I took a class from him about 5 years ago and have kept in touch with him ever since, and I just thought it would really be nice to go back to his forge to do the testing. So we show up on a Saturday morning, and I'm super nervous. And Burt really did a good job of calming me down. He said, let's go on in here and get this thing done. So I really didn't get a lot of good video, so I'm just going to kind of explain to you how everything went. We'll show you some little clips here and there. So just like I showed you in the previous video, we start with the rope test. So he goes over the safety deal and everything, and go up, and the knife, this is the knife, performed beautifully. Zip right through the rope, no problem. So felt good about the first, part of the test is out of the way. Second test, as you know, is the 2x4 chop. So we set everything up and again performed the 2x4 chop, and the knife did really well. I mean, went right through both 2x4s with not a lot of effort. Actually, it went through less effort than I've had it in my shop. So again, I'm feeling pretty good about this. Burt had me shave my arm with the blade, shaved just fine. And so at that point in time, the master smith has to inspect the edge. So he's inspecting everything, and it looked pretty good to him, but then he felt something right in here. And so he had to get his glasses. And on further inspection, we had just a little bit of deformation right there. And, we had to look for it for quite some time. But unfortunately, though, because of the rules of the testing, that is a fail. Okay, the edge cannot deform whatsoever. And we discussed things for a little bit. Excuse me, it's pretty hot in here. Discussed why that it failed and everything like that. He gave me a good old pat on the back, and he asked me, do you still want to try to bend it? And I'm like, absolutely. We're here. I want to see how this thing bends. So go into his shop, put it in a vise, and this thing bent like a champ. I mean, it almost came back to true. So I passed 2 parts of the test, but unfortunately failed the one portion of it. At that point in time, I mean, my heart was broke. I was pretty down. But Burt, we actually sat and talked for 2 hours, not about how to pass the test, but how to look at these kind of failures or performances and evaluate what might have gone wrong or what could have done better. One thing I do think I did was, I think I got tunnel vision on that bend test. If you look at the other test, that bend test is just haunting. And so I did some things to my knife. Like I mentioned in the previous video, this knife is designed to pass this test. There are things put in this knife I would never do on a regular knife, and Burt agrees. But it's designed to pass the test. But I got tunnel vision on the bend test, focused too much on those parameters. I think one of the things that I did wrong was I think I tempered too high. I think it just got just a little bit too soft. I mean, me and Burt was sitting there in his forge with this knife, hitting a moose antler. We were trying to get it to fail. We also were trying different kind of edge geometry, all kinds of stuff, just to see, you know, where we could pinpoint what I could do wrong, or what I did wrong, what I did right. And there was a lot of good things about this knife too, and he said that. Another thing I think that we could do better, you're allotted 2 inches of height. I only use about 1.5 inches. And so this knife is pretty thin and pretty light. If I utilize that 2 inches instead of the 1.5 inches, I would have added weight, and that would actually, A, help out in the 2x4 chop, and also allow me maybe a little bit more meat behind that cutting edge. So that being said, after the 2 hours, I mean, that was a huge learning experience right there. Being able to talk Burt, talk shop, you know, because again, he asked me the processes. What did you do to temper? What was your heat treats and all this stuff? Why did you use this steel? And you know, would I have liked to come out of there passing a test? Absolutely. But you know, in this kind of situation, you got 2 options. You either give up or you carry on. And I'm going to carry on. I learned a lot of good stuff, learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about my workmanship. I don't have any problems with any of that. I have to wait 6 months, and I told Burt I'll be back in 6 months. So I want to thank my wife for all the support she's given me. I want to thank Joe and Ann for coming, and Ridley. Thank you again, sir. I actually had this on when I did the test. I especially want to thank Burt Foster for all he did. Not just calming me down, but also to take the time to help me. Because when you look at my adventure for knife making, I'm just getting started. Okay? I'll eventually get that performance test. And then I'm going to go for my judging test of fit and finish and everything like that. But I can't thank Burt Foster enough. And I can't thank God enough for never giving up on me. So, and I also want to thank all of you for all the help you've given me. And we're just going to move on. I got 6 months to try this again. We'll get her. So in the meantime, stay sharp, everybody.